I'm Alan Wilder, ex-member of the well-known group Depeche Mode. It is true, I have made my entire vinyl and CD collection available. It's going on a special auction on 18th of August, 11 a.m. at Beat the Clock Records, which is in Palmyra Square in Hove, just off Church Street, anyone who knows Hove. It's a great collection. My first record, I think, was Man Who Sold the World by David Bowie in about 1973, and it goes through my entire sort of teenage years through to when I joined Mute, up with Mute, and there's loads of Mute rarities within the collection and everything else, you know, all kinds of bits and pieces, so I hope you'll enjoy that. So get down there and have fun.
So, mate, that was great, wasn't it? That chat with Stuart Avis from Beat the Clock Records. Brilliant that he got in touch with us a few weeks ago. Obviously, I know you were on holiday, so we couldn't do much until you got back. But what an amazing guy. What an amazing opportunity for him to be selling the WILDER collection.
Well, it's an amazing opportunity for him, and it's an amazing opportunity for us as well, because, I mean, he got in touch a few weeks ago and he said, look, I've got this. Would you like to do something with it? I mean, you know, it's Alan Wilder, for goodness sake. And, you know, just looking at social media and everything that's been going on over the last sort of 10 days and the message from Alan Wilder, I mean, people hold Alan Wilder in such high esteem. It's kind of, you know, it's created this kind of like storm of interest. It should be a brilliant day on Sunday. We wish you every success of it. I say, absolutely love the guy, and I'm sure he's going to have an amazing day in a proper line on Monday, hopefully. He could be exhausted. If you're free on Sunday, get down there, support him, and you might pick up something from Mr. Wilder. Totally. So let's let you see our little chat with Mr. Stuart Avis, the owner of Beat the Clock Records. Enjoy. I've seen a lot of conspiracies on the web about why he's doing it and things, you know. Some of them are sort of quite sinister and stuff, but I guess he's just downsizing and getting rid of some of his clutter. I mean, my wife will probably watch it, and so will Andy's, and probably ask me to do the same sort of thing. Hey everyone, welcome to this very special edition of Electronic Cafe. A good friend of ours, Stuart Avis, owner of Beat the Clock Records, got in touch with us a few weeks ago saying, hey, I've got something you guys might be interested in. Our ears pricked up. He said, I've got Alan Wilder's record collection. We're like, what the fuck? So amazingly, he got in touch. We know it's been blowing up across the internet. Seen it on all the socials, but thankfully we managed to get some time with the good man himself before the madness of the event happens in a few days' time. Stu, welcome to Electronic Cafe, my friend. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much. Well, it's lovely to be on here. You know, I'm a regular viewer of your interviews and such. So thanks, you know, it's it's a channel I love, and so it's an honour. Really. Oh well, we're privileged as well, buddy.
Hi, this is Stu from Beat the Clock Records. Big hello to everybody out there watching Electronic Cafe. On Sunday, August the 18th, we'll be holding a sale of the personal CD and vinyl collection of Alan Wilder from 11 a.m. here at Beat the Clock Records, Palmyra Square, Church Road, Hove, BN3 1JW. We're going to have a sort of little look at some of the things that are going to be available in the Alan Wilder record and CD collection sale. This is Alan's personal CD collection and vinyl collection. So there's no Depeche Mode or Recoil. Obviously, he didn't really have to go out and buy those.
Mate, just quickly, how did it all come about? I mean, you know, this is Alan Wilder, you know, legend of Depeche Mode. How did it happen?
It's not one of those kind of, you know, bump into in a pub scenarios, really, is there? It's it doesn't happen every day, this kind of thing. Well, basically, Paul Kendall, who works closely with Alan on Recoil and has, a long history with Mute himself anyway, in production roles and so forth, and also, makes his own music. He knew of my shop and knew that I was really into the whole Mute Records thing. So pinged me a message saying, Alan's looking to sell. Do you fancy taking a look? First, I thought, okay, so who's hacked Paul's account and pranking me? I
can believe that.
Yeah. So, I said, yeah, I'd love to take a look, gave some contact details, and then Alan got in touch. We arranged a date to go and view, and the rest is history, really.
Did you know Alan beforehand? I mean...
No. I mean, we'd only met once at a Gary Newman show, and I was basically being a fan, to be honest. I just happened to spot him, and there was an umming and ahhing because it's an everyday scenario. It's not like this is a signing or after a gig or something. He's out, in having a night out like any of us. Do I even go over and say it? But I just thought, actually, how often does one of Depeche Mode wander through the door, when you're out? So I just went over and said, hi, is it okay to get a quick photo? And he was like, yeah, sure. And my friend was actually there doing photography of the gig anyway, because he does a lot of Brighton gig photography. And so, of course, he pulls out, expecting a phone to come out, pulls out this bloody great proper camera, and Alan actually turned around and said, "Oh, it's a proper one," like that. And so you just got a quick photo, and then let it, went off on our merry way. But yeah, wow. Really, really nice guy though. He was, to be honest, he probably would have been happy to chat longer, but you never kind of know if you know, when they're on a night out. Am I being a nuisance? So it was just a quick hello.
Excellent. And yet this has blown up massively, obviously. Alan Wilder seems to have this kind of like status. I mean, we did an episode on Alan Wilder in the early days, and it's like 100,000 views. It's kind of like, he's got this kind of status. I've seen a lot of conspiracies on the web about why he's doing it and things, Some of them are sort of quite sinister and stuff, but I guess he's just downsizing and getting rid of some of his clutter. I mean, my wife will probably watch it, and so will Andy's, and probably ask me to do the same sort of thing. But I mean, it's going to be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, I think that's the internet. The internet will always be the internet. There's always going to be a faction that just thinks the worst of everything.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's really absolutely nothing for anyone to be concerned about. What Alan is doing is so incredibly ordinary. He's reached an age now where he's just looking to downsize, and it's a story I hear pretty much every week in the shop. 2 weeks before I bought Alan's collection, there was an electrician in, and their story was almost word for word. The only difference is their career paths. It's such an ordinary thing, but as people get older, their perspectives change. We as fans have a tendency to romanticize things, but this is an everyday person. He's just had this incredible career where he's just done amazingly talented things, but inside, human being like any of us. And so, yeah, as you get older, he's decided to downsize. He doesn't want to keep lugging boxes upon boxes around everywhere. It's just a shift in priorities, really. It's as simple as that. And a lot of the younger folks that have been, sort of perhaps getting into record collecting and thinking, well, how can you get rid of it? Once they hit 65 and they're moving house or whatever, then the penny might drop.
So let's take a look at some of the things that we have. A good place to start would be, I guess, the record Alan mentions in his video. That first vinyl record he bought, David Bowie's Man Who Sold the World LP, which you can see here, and Alan has written his name on it, as many of us did in our youths with our records. There's also a number of other albums that he wrote his name on. This is a lovely flip book of 7-inch singles, which obviously came from the family home and of Alan's childhood. And it's been sort of much loved and appreciated. So if we look inside, there's some here that were quite possibly his parents. So there's things like that. There's a few empty pages here. But as you know, as many will know, Alan's a classically trained pianist. So obviously classical music was a big fixture in those early days. But something we both discovered is that we share a love of the mighty Thunderbirds, which was just about as great as an adventure TV show got. Obviously, it'd be a huge shame to separate those records, so we're going to keep that together as one item.
This is Alan's personal collection, and it's everything other than Depeche Mode or Recoil, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, there's no Depeche Mode or Recoil. He does sort of, this is something that he's going to look at further down the line. But yeah, what is there is such an incredible eclectic mix, and at least 90% of it is pretty much pristine. So a lot of it hasn't been going through pricing up. There's pinch me stuff in there. So has this stuff even been played? Yeah. Absolutely incredible. But then there is like stuff from his teenage years that was played by a teenager. And we weren't always as cautious as we could be back then. You didn't have that foresight, really, of for collecting and, am I going to want to play this in 40 years or whatever? You don't think on those terms. And of course, you pre-streaming or anything like that, you take records to parties or whatever, or around friends' house. That's just what you did. Everybody that turned up to a party, 10% of them probably end up being DJ for the night because they'd all brought records.
And I know we're going to show you very kindly later on in the show. We're going to show the stuff you did and a really nice flick through. I see. Is that some of that stuff there? Is that from Alan's collection on your right shoulder there, or am I just imagining it? Is this?
Oh, there are some here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There are some bits here. Yeah. So there was some things I was going to show because. Just really to show the eclecticism of the collection. Yeah, now, there's quite a bit of punk in there actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, there's some things that are about as legendary as they get. I mean, a lot of punk collectors will probably have these albums, but those that are sort of going in first time or perhaps want to upgrade or whatever, because I mean, here's like the Stranglers' Ratus Norvegicus album, which is about classic as it gets, really, for punk. Anything with Peaches on is a good album. Come on, it's Keith Floyd's theme tune, for those that may remember. And of course, that I mean, come on, that's about. But now this is something though that's a little bit special in the punk stuff. Now, hopefully, people will only be watching this after the Watershed. Because you can guess which punk album this will be.
I've got a feeling, yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. But it's not an everyday copy. This is actually incredibly the much sought after one with the plain back sleeve, which you didn't wander into Woolworths and pick up back then. So that's a really sought after piece. That is, and it's in lovely shape with a little bit of wear to the sleeve.
But it's what, 40, 50 years old? I mean,
77. So what we're looking at now, 47 years. So, but I kind of like, when whenever I get secondhand records in, I kind of prefer them to have a bit of wear. They've got a bit of history, of the story, some character. It's almost disappointing sometimes when someone comes in and it's like, you haven't enjoyed this. Why did you even have it?
That's a fair point. I think that's a real fair point. I mean, I know we saw the Hendrix one and the Bowie one where he's a kid and they're all on and they got his name on off. I love that. We're going to show more of the collection later on in this episode, thanks to the fantastic work you did for us earlier, mate.
The interesting thing is that you said, Stu, and it's true, is like the eclectic mix of his collection. I mean, I know it went from his teenage years, right the way through to his adult life, and you expect to see Philip Glass, Eno, Steve Reich. You expect classical, you expect choral music. Yazoo's in there, Razor, Nitzer Ebb, Fad Gadget. Obviously, he was signed to Mute. You expect that. But then there's the other stuff, which is in everyone's collection. That specials, B-52s, Bebox Deluxe, Jesus America Chain, Nick Cave, Bowie Smith, Spirit of Destiny, Giruti column. There's stuff that we've all got that, I don't know why, but you wouldn't expect Alan Wilder to just have the Smiths records and stuff like that. But obviously they're great records, so he has them, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, his taste is fantastic. It is very much the best of the best out of these albums. There's no incriminating evidence in that collection. It's really good.
He might have taken those ones out before he's.
Well, that's it. Was there a skip out the back that full of Japanese boy and stuff like that?
The Wombles.
But looking at some of the other stuff, like for example, an early band. He's a massive Hendrix fan. Clearly, there's a lot of Hendrix albums, and they're in great shape. But another big band, sadly, not the turquoise lettering, but the first Zeppelin album anyway. But this is still a much sought after rarity because it is the Plum Atlantic label, which is quite hard to cover. This has been a bit played and loved, but so it should be. That's exactly what you're supposed to do with records. Play them.
Something that's probably a little known fact about Alan actually is one of his first jobs was working for DJM Records, which sure all the Jasper Carrot aficionados will be familiar with, and people that like Some Bloke Called Elton John. I think he sort of did all right for himself in the end. So there's some lovely stuff from the DJM catalogue. Here's just a few little examples of promos that are amongst them, including not only the great Geno Washington, but even more importantly, the mighty Dennis Waterman.
Another thing, kind of going back a little bit more towards the punk side of things, I guess, there's an album which a lot of people will want, which has kind of reached a notoriety for horrible reasons, basically. It's Iggy Pop's The Idiot, which, but this is in absolutely beautiful shape. And of course, obviously we know the Ian Curtis story and so forth, but, it's absolutely incredible. And people can contrast and compare the versions of China Girl as well now, if they get that.
Of course. Yeah. Great album. Big fan of Iggy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few Iggy bits in there. Public Image Limited. In fact, he's quite a fan of Peel, actually, by the looks of it. There's definitely a lot in there, and it's quite nice to see that some of these albums have got their Virgin Megastore stickers or whatever, and so he has gone out, but it's not all stuff that has been sent by a record label. I mean, a lot of the new stuff was probably, given to him, but it's nice to see that he, this isn't all because of his role, what he was doing work-wise, if you like, for want of a better way of putting it.
I noticed that he had Nobody's Diary by Yazoo.
Yes, annoyingly, not the
There's a couple of Yazoo album or singles elsewhere.
That's in there.
I think it's probably one of the most perfect pop songs ever.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. It was quite nice that when Yazoo did their Reconnected thing, you know, they opened with that, you know, no messing about. And at the Mute Records weekend, when Vince did this kind of retrospective, if you like, of his career with Allison, and obviously doing the Erasure bit, and then Fergal Sharkey coming on for Never Never, which was just a massive highlight of the weekend.
I bet.
That was incredible. But
amazing.
Yeah, but playing about labels though, you know, working with record labels, he, you know, when he worked for DJM, which was one of his first jobs after school, there's a lot of Elton John there, but it's not, again, well, there is some Communal Garden, if you like, Elton John stuff, but again though, it's absolutely pristine. I mean, a lot of people will know Madman Across the Water, which, you know, is about as solid as an Elton John album gets. But, you know, they've also got things like the company sticker for the catalogue number in the corner, which you don't sort of normally see.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of Madman Across the Water that you would have sort of walked into HMV or whatever and bought. But weirdly, this one seems to be the one he's played is a Chilean pressing of it, which is completely different sleeve, absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's God, that one's a little bit silly money.
But it should be. You know, so the unique opportunity with someone to own something owned by Alan Wilder. It's amazing.
I say silly money. I mean, it's not super greedy or anything. You know, we're not. You know, I've made a point of pricing pretty much as we normally would. Really, we're just pricing as I normally would anything that comes into the shop, because, well, firstly, we want people to try to be able to afford it. You know, it's no good, you know, putting stuff in the boxes and no one affording anything. So it's going to defeat the whole object of a month with the price gun for a start. You know, I don't want to regret doing that. You know?
It's not wide enough to get all the zeros in this one.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We put about 6 stickers in a row, but yeah. So we have price things normally. You know, an album that I'd normally put out for a tenner is being put out for a tenner.
Nice. That's very cool.
Yeah,
very
we're
cool.
still doing it that way. Of course, by the same token, an album that normally put out for 50 quid will be 50 quid, of course. Yeah. But that's because it's rare and it's collectible, and, you know, and the condition these are in, you just don't see them in that condition.
Fair point. And mate, it's all kicking off on Sunday, is that right? On the
Sunday, August the 18th, at 11 a.m. So it's kind of running, I guess, to kind of like a normal shop day, but obviously it's going to be a bit more chaotic. And
won't be normal, mate. I reckon there'll be people queuing up there at 7 a.m. or something stupid.
I would not be surprised, actually. Yeah. But the actual running would be like, obviously I've got a few extra people on to help with this. Because, you know, that could quite well be necessary. But yeah, I mean, I guess it would kind of work kind of like record store day, I suppose. You know, it's that sort of scenario, really. So yeah, it's going to be sort of like that, I guess. been amazing. We've had people coming in the shop over the last week or so. Well, certainly since Alan's video went up. People from as far as Hungary so far that have decided to kind of make a holiday of it. It's fantastic. It's really nice to see that passion there, actually. It's kind of reassuring, because you think there's a lot of bands that were at kind of Depeche Mode's level in the early 80s, and they're kind of doing the nostalgia circuit now or whatever, and which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you've got if you've a career with some great songs, play those great songs, but Depeche Mode have always kind of managed to just keep going forward constantly. They're one of the few that have sort of achieved that, these being one of the others, of course.
The band that keeps reinventing themselves,
Yeah.
Andy grew up in Upminster. He's probably told you this, which is kind of like the next town up from Basildon. So we used to go see Depeche Mode at Crocs and Raquel's and like all these in the beginning. We used to meet them on the train and just like, chat to them and everything. So, I've had this conversation before with like people that have spoken to us about it. And I said, for me, it's like, there's a real dichotomy in my head, because I know that Depeche Mode are the biggest band in the world. They're one of the biggest bands in the world. But there's also a part of me that thinks the train to Fenchurch Street used to sit in there. Do you know what I mean? You
can their simps to the top of the pop studios on the train.
You can look at U2 and just think, okay, they're the biggest band in the world. You'd never ever be able to speak to them. Or for me, Depeche Mode are probably as big as U2, and I still think, it's like
it's this incredible culture shock, isn't there? Of like watching that first performance of New Life on Top of the Pops, and if you watch that and then stick Devotional on or something afterwards, it's hard to believe.
Alan Wilder was obviously responsible for that shift, wasn't he? I mean, after A Broken Frame and the gradual development of the sound, the darker sound, the industrial sounding, it's all down to Alan Wilder.
Well, he's very much the studio member of the band, if you like. Fantastic musician, of course. Supremely talented there, but his love of the studio kind of was a secret weapon almost for them. It allowed them to do things that just a group of musicians couldn't do. It was all in the hands of a producer a lot of the time, but this is when a band member is driving forward the sound, you also kind of have that consistency then. But rather than swapping from producer to producer and getting a different sound for each record, there's a growth in it. You can hear this line. Okay, so there's probably quite a jump between Broken Frame and Construction Time again sonically, but you can draw a line through Construction Time again, and Some Great War, Black Celebration, and you can hear this. Question of Time is where they kind of really start rocking, and of course their Music for the Masses follows, and it just goes from there, doesn't it?
Even the development from Violator to Songs of Faith and Devotion, I mean, that was a big jump as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a great deal to suggest that on Violator. Personal Jesus, maybe, and the kind of use of sampled guitar, like on Policy of Truth.
Yeah,
but not really that leap. I mean, when I Feel You first come out, I was like, well, excuse me, what? First time you hear that, and of course, but I was going through a sort of rock metal phase at the time anyway, so it was quite a great moment, because it's like, hey, they've come with me. Of course, that wasn't the case at all, but it kind of felt like that,
Mate, I'm only gutted. I'm sure the same thing. We can't come down here, unfortunately. Other electronic cafe commitments, but seriously, look, wish you a very successful day, guys. On the EC world, go and see this guy. Go and get yourself a piece of history. Get down there on Sunday, and then mate, we just wish you every success to it. I know it's going to be an absolute knockout, and it'll be an amazing day for you. So wish you all the best for that. Oh, it'll be amazing. And look, we'll be down to see you in a couple of weeks, because we want to chat to you, because love what you're doing. Absolutely love what you're doing. So,
brilliant. Thank you, and likewise to you guys as well. I will
you.
continue watching.
Stuart, thanks for your time, and very best of luck for Sunday. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute blast, and it'll be a massive success. I mean, the exposure that he's getting is phenomenal.
and deservedly.
Yeah, and enjoy your rest on Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to have a ceremonial burning of the price gun. It's all going to go a bit Wicker Man after after Sunday. I think we're going to big effigy of it in the out the back there. That's the way forward, I figure.
Listen, wish you all the best, mate, and thanks for joining us. Really
Thanks for your evening.
No problem. Well, good luck with it all, chaps. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye.